Welcome to the newest edition of the All Out Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Brandon BT Taylor, and we have a lot to get into today. We have the aftermath of the Pat McAfee reveal on SmackDown last Friday, CM Punk's pipe bomb, a questionable WrestleMania decision here, continued on the Gunther forced Rollins match here. The news that TNA is now pulling talent from events where they could likely be facing an AEW opponent. I'm going to save AEW Dynasty for a different episode later this week, probably Friday, because not many of the matches have been announced yet. We're only up to 6. There's probably going to be about 12 more to go. As a reminder, go and follow the Main Event Hub on all our socials: Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube, Substack, you fucking name it, we're probably on it. So my opening take here is the Gunther Rollins match, which was a big thing from the last episode that I went on. And this past Monday seemed to only push it further. Rey Mysterio, who we were told was not going to be cleared in time for Mania, which is why they jumped to Gunther out of nowhere. Rey Mysterio return is cleared and is going to be in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, which goes back to the point once again, this Gunther Seth Rollins match makes no sense. And on Monday night, they didn't really do anything to make it make more sense. We know likely the end game of this is going to be Gunther getting to end Brock Lesnar's career, as that's what Heyman is going to owe him. You could have got there without randomly putting the Seth Rollins match together. So now you have Braun Breaker, who is cleared. By all reports, he is cleared. No one's disputed that he hasn't been. You're not going to put him on WrestleMania because you quote unquote wanted a proper build between those two, even though since the Royal Rumble, you have been doing a proper build between the Vision and Seth Rollins, which goes back to Gunther here. You made the decision to hold off Gunther for majority of WrestleMania season. And the excuse we were given was that, well, Rey Mysterio is not going to be cleared in time. So that's why we had to pivot and put Gunther and Rollins together, regardless if Breaker's cleared or not, which all account is Braun Breaker has been cleared. And then Rey Mysterio returns this Monday. Not only returns this past Monday, he's going to be put into a ladder match. I don't know if you've seen a fucking ladder match before. That's not one of the safest matches. So this dude is cleared. So if Rey was cleared, and I don't think this was a day of decision here, Rey likely has been cleared, then why was Gunther off TV for majority of WrestleMania season to now you have to build Seth Rollins versus Gunther really in a week, because this next upcoming Monday is pretty much the final big sale job for all these Mania matches, because the week after is pretty much just a play it safe, wrap it up. Don't expect anything major to sell you on these matchups. It's just final words, whatever. This next week, next Monday Night Raw, and then not this upcoming Friday Night SmackDown. No, yeah, this week. I keep thinking Mania is in 2 weeks. It's not. WrestleMania is literally next weekend. You have this Friday's your last Mania sale job. So they've already tried to sell you on Seth Rollins, Gunther. So really you only have a week. I'm sorry for my terrible calendar skills here and time frame of when WrestleMania is. It's been a doozy. But with Gunther and Rollins, you had the chance to get people on board this week, and you really didn't. You didn't. And next week is really a play it safe, go home show to WrestleMania. Nothing major is really going to happen. If anything major does happen, it's going to likely be between CM Punk and Roman Reigns or Oba and Brock. So it begs the question, what was the reason Gunther was left off of WrestleMania season for majority of it? And you can't use, well, Rey Mysterio wasn't going to be cleared in time, because Rey has not only been cleared, Rey is in a ladder match. that honestly makes no sense being in for to begin with, but that's besides the point. The booking of Gunther since ending Cena's career has been mind-boggling. The fact that you openly left him off TV completely during this meeting. So you Rollins Gunther would not be an issue for WrestleMania if you started building this. We'll go 3, 4 weeks ago. We'll go 3 weeks ago. You literally just put together a week ago. You did kind of a not that good of a sell job on the why this is happening, why we should be invested for this, why Gunther is going after Rollins. And it has to be more than, well, now you owe me, Heyman. Well, okay, Heyman owes him now, but what was why then? Why not when Heyman was getting the piss beat out of him? Why, after all this time, now Gunther is going to jump and save Heyman? Why wait till the night where everyone's expecting Braun Breaker? That's a lot of questions WWE is not going to be able to answer between now and WrestleMania. It's still going to be a banger of a match, but this WrestleMania season is a further indictment on their booking of Gunther since he ended John Cena's career. So now let's hear a bit. We're going to continue the Mania season. Here's a clip from the DJ and Heel show on WWE's Creative. Is it broken? I will give you my take. Stop right there. This is where I disagree with Heel here. Before Pat McAfee was even in, this feud was damn near dead in the water. They had one, my God, moment, and it was Orton's heel turn, which everyone cheered for. But outside of that, it's been Matt Cardona, Jelly Roll, Cody Rhodes shaking hands and kissing babies while trying to be serious and go down to the ring and finally get his hands on Randy Orton after the brutal assault. So, what is it? I can't sit here and full-blown blame Pat McAfee for WWE having to pivot and change this whole Cody and Randy storyline. Because by all accounts, Pat McAfee was not set in stone as the reveal until a day or two before the reveal happened. So why? Why I can't fully blame TKO? Because up until then, WWE Creative still had to tell a story. Still had to sell you on this match. They didn't do a good job on that. They didn't. And we could blame TKO all they want, but honestly, it looks like TKO's bet on Pat McAfee has somewhat paid off because people are talking. And it's the most we have been talking this entire WrestleMania season. I get a lot of us do not like it. A lot of us believe it does not make sense. I am one of the people that doesn't think Pat McAfee's reasoning and return makes sense for this storyline, but it's got people talking. It's the most attention they have gotten this entire WrestleMania season, the most intrigue they have gotten this whole WrestleMania season since the first Roman and Punk promo, and then Brock and Oba's first encounter. We're this close to Mania. Orton and Cody, regardless right now, is probably the hottest it's been this whole feud, and it sadly has nothing to do with either of them. It's because of Pat McAfee. Negative or positively, no matter what you think about it. This is the most buzz this match has had in its entire effing build. Continue here with this video. I'm going to pause right there. You have wrestling guys' input, so it's not just all writers. This is where I disagree with DJ. You have your Michael P.S. Hayeses there. You had Road Dogg at one point. Ryan Ward has shown he is very capable and a very good creative mind in wrestling. You have Bruce Pritchard. You have a lot of these guys that are actually in the business. I don't know how heavily reliant they have been on actual writers, but they have enough people with wrestling backgrounds and years of experience in this business who pretty much dictate how this goes, how it's going. I'm not blaming the writers for how bad Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill has been. It's a feud where, honestly, it looks like both of them don't want to be there. And it shows. And I'll get to that to my WrestleMania preview show next week. on Rhea and Jade. I don't know why I kept butchering a name. That's brutal. But I'm not blaming the writing team on those two, that feud being shit. If you want to blame the writing team on Randy and Cody not being good, fine. I kind of agree with that because, once again, decision to turn Randy backfired. Say it all is, the decision to turn Randy Orton backfired. Randy Orton will not be booed by anyone. Now he will by association of Pat McAfee, but they're really booing Pat McAfee. They're not booing Randy Orton. And with that said, I get not turning Cody. I do get it. Cody is the face of WWE. Cody's the guy. So you're not turning him. But in this scenario, if you had to turn someone, he was the one. Now, maybe something changes between now and Mania, possibly at Mania. But you got to thank Pat McAfee for bringing some life into this. And it might have been, honestly, it could be a risk that Ari Emanuel and TKO have taken and may have worked. It may have worked. We'll see this Friday what the next McAfee promo is going to be. But it's not out of the realm here that this may have worked. And it may have brought life into a feud that was drowning. Continue with the video here on the DJ and Hill show. This is where I have to pause here. These are Triple H's people. I'm sorry, I don't think TKO is randomly hiring this random writer and just saying, all right, Triple H, figure it out with them. Majority of the people in these spots are Triple H's guys. The only ones that aren't, have a seat at the creative table, are Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes. Those are Vince guys. They're Vince carryovers. But a lot of the people that are there now are Triple H people or people that were hired in the Triple H regime. So the creative team, this is what Triple H wanted. These are the people he trusts. He trusts Road Dogg. It didn't work. It didn't work to a point Road Dogg quit because they had to take him out of power in creative because he was so bad at it. So once again, I don't think Triple H is legitimately in the hot seat. I do not buy it. The amount of times they put that dude front and center, Mania preview, Mania announcement. He was there for the Oba Brock contract signing that never really happened. He's front and center on Cody's podcast 1 week before WrestleMania. He's their Dana White, and he's a very safe option, especially since you're not doing the press conferences anymore, which he was terrible at. He's a very safe option, and his creative booking shows it because he goes with the safe and non-risky options here. You'd rather safe than the unknown. I think they're content with Triple H regardless of what's going on. The only way I see Triple H out of creative power is if TKO starts losing money or The Rock makes a big push for his guy, Brian Gertz, to take over creative. Those are the only two paths I see of Triple H being removed. Other than that, I don't think he's anywhere close to the hot seat. Now, are there some things Triple H needs to improve on? Absolutely. PLE card should not be 4 or 5 matches. It worked in Black and Gold NXT because the matches were great. And it was one brand. You have 2 brands, so doing 5 to 4 matches doesn't work, especially when most of them suck. And another thing you're seeing is, playing it safe is what it is, playing it safe. But it has its redundancies, and it's going to get people to turn. Starting to see it with Sami Zayn. Starting to see it with Cody Rhodes. Bleeding into the live crowd. I would not be shocked if sometime down the line you start to see it with Rhea Ripley. So there's positives and negatives with Triple H here. But to sit here and blame the whole creative team, like this isn't his team, like these aren't his people, is kind of insane. But I get what they're saying. they're not wrong here in saying there is an issue with creative in WWE, but I don't think Triple H should be escaping blame for how bad the build to this year's WrestleMania has been. And I asked this question earlier on the spaces that me and DJ did. Who is under more pressure to deliver this year? Is it Triple H to deliver a good WrestleMania? Or is it on Cody to deliver a good main event match? And the reason I ask this, everyone seems to coincide that the Triple H era really started at WrestleMania 40. So you had 40, 41, now 42. 40 was an all-time WrestleMania. 41 was not a good WrestleMania, and it featured one of the worst main event matches in WrestleMania history in Cody and Cena. Involved Cody. So 2 out of 3 being stinkers for WrestleMania looks like an indictment on Triple H and his creative brain trust here. And in a bad match for Cody, now you got to start thinking, okay, he may have the look to be the guy, but at your quote unquote Super Bowl, which is WrestleMania, this dude's out here looking like Peyton Manning in the playoffs. Put up all these great regular season stats. He's your MVP, your QB1. But when the lights get its brightest, he puts on a stinker. So, food for thought there. I'll repost a question in the Elite Wrestling Society Facebook group. Go and join that. That's it. Who is under more pressure this year to actually deliver? Triple H on a good WrestleMania or Cody on a good WrestleMania match? Just to finish the rest of the video here, so go what it is. That's 100% correct right there. DJ is right. They did get complacent. Triple H got complacent. Hopefully, this Mania season has been a wake-up call for them, and hope we see a turnaround because this has not been a good year for them. Quick NXT stand and deliver thoughts. It was an okay show. Tony D'Angelo winning the NXT Championship. I'm a little shocked by it. I thought Joe would get the win there, and your post NXT main event feud for the summer would end up being Joe Hendry and Tony D'Angelo. Doesn't look like they're doing that. It looks like we're probably gearing up for a Joe Hendry main roster call-up, along with Ethan Page and probably Ricky Saints. Tatum Paxley defeated Blake Monroe. That's going to continue. Don't know if you're moving Blake Monroe up, especially after Lola Vice became champion. I don't know if you're moving Blake up. Yep, Lola Vice became the new NXT Women's Champion. A little shocked by that. I thought she was going to be the one eating the pin, wherever it was JC Jane retaining or Kendall Gray winning. But I'm interested to see how Lola Vice does. I don't think this is going to be long term, but I also said that about JC Jane, and she was champion for like 300 days. But I think the next 2 weeks of NXT, NXT Revenge, is pretty much going to be the swan song for a couple of NXT favorites as we start to move the standouts of Evolve up to NXT. What the fuck was the other match? We had that one, Zarya versus Soul. I don't know if Soul winning was the right call there. Sol Ruka defeated Zarya, and we are set for a rematch, a last women's standing match. I think that is going to be next week. No, that is week 2, I think. I'm pretty sure it's week 2 of NXT Revenge. Zarya, Soul 2 in a last women's standing match. You're also getting Ethan Page, Tony D'Angelo in an NXT Championship match. I think that one's next week. You were getting Lola Vice versus JC Jane, and you're getting a Joe Hendry concert addressing his future. So this next 2 weeks of NXT is going to feel like, in my opinion, an unofficial reshuffling of NXT. I'll get to AEW Dynasty at a different recording. Not all the matches have been announced yet, so not really any point in getting into that yet. But I do want to get into the news that has been breaking this afternoon, and that is TNA is starting to pull talent from events where they are set to face AEW stars or could be facing AEW stars. Ricochet Leon Slater is off. Nick Nemeth versus MJF at Creative Pro Wrestling is likely off. Which that one's a little shocking because that is ran by Brian Myers, who works for TNA. but that match is likely off. Moose, who was set to appear for Maple Leaf Pro, that one is off. I don't blame TNA, to be honest. I really don't, because honestly, I don't think of all the matches that were announced, except maybe Moose, none of these AEW stars were going to lose. MJF was going to beat Nick Nemeth, which fine, whatever. Ricochet was probably going to beat Leon Slater, which is a no. Leon Slater should be beating Ricochet. And if the rumored reason is TNA is pissed about Collision being booked on Thursday last week, AEW had no real control over that. That was a Warner Bros. Discovery, TNT TBS decision because it didn't want Collision going head to head with college basketball, the men's Final Four on CBS. Yes, different channel, different network, but under the same thing. Turner Sports does the NCAA tournament. So if that's the reason, that's stupid on TNA's part. That's what sent you over the edge. I don't think it is. I think it has something to do with Danny Luna, who requested her release last week. I think whatever happened with her, and I honestly, I assume she's probably TNA, but not TNA, but AEW bound. I think that is probably was the nail in the coffin for we're done with this shit with AEW. We're not giving AEW the benefit of the doubt. We're not doing these events. We're not letting our guys go to these events, face AEW stars, and then lose. Because let's be honest, they were going to lose. They were going to lose. So I don't really blame them. I really don't. If that's the reason. If it's the Collision was forced to be on Thursday, so you had to go head to head with Collision, brutal. That is such a bitch made thing to do from Carlos Silva in TNA wrestling. Don't know who Moose is mad at though. I don't know if he's mad at TNA for leaking it. I don't think it was TNA that leaked it. I think it was Maple Leaf Pro and AEW that leaked it. That TNA was starting to pull guys because that doesn't sound like. I don't think TNA would purposely leak that they're going to start pulling people from events. I think that came from a different side. I think that's what Moose's tweets were directed at. But yeah, that's a development story going on now. The next thing here that I want to bring up is that CM Punk pipe bomb 3.0, or I mean, fucking pipe bomb is now from him. What a promo. That was a great promo. And it continues the CM Punk as of right now is the male wrestler of the year for all of wrestling. He has killed it this entire year. I have some complaints about him and Roman's build this year for Mania, but since the start of this year, CM Punk has been absolutely killing it. And you got to give credit where credit's due here with them. I full blown believe. I don't think this was CM Punk just randomly went out there, ripped up a script, and was like, I'm talking about this, and this. I think bullets and points of what he was going to hit on was talked about, and that was it. Everything else was just whatever Punk felt like saying. So that's my thoughts on the CM Punk pipe bomb. Great promo. Don't think it was a full blown shoot though. About 30 minutes in. As a reminder, check out DJ and the Heel this Sunday. I think they're going to be live Sunday. And then check out WrestleMania week next week. I will have a recording or live for Mania week. DJ and the Heel will be live Friday night next week for their WrestleMania preview show. I will likely be on it. And check out Trivia Mania, hosted by DJ, which will feature the highly anticipated Heel versus Jet matchup. And I always butcher the third participant in this, but I hope that dude wins just because the amount of shit talking Heel and Jet have done. Follow the Main Event Hub on all our socials. You know where to go. And happy wrestling, everyone. Adios.